Hi there, this is Kim, and in this video I wanted to talk a little bit about Desteni, and specifically because Desteni is now about a decade old, and I've been walking with Desteni for about maybe 8 years, which is quite a while, and I wanted to share one of the major points about myself that I've been able to change over the years of walking my process of change, over the years of being part of Desteni, which means, being part of a community of giving and receiving support, where, a community of people who assist and supports each other, and within that themselves, to walk this process of self-change, of self-development, where you do everything yourself. You have to actually apply the tools. Like, I had to actually do the self-investigation, walk my mind constructs, do my self-forgiveness, actually be diligent and principled and disciplined in my day-to-day living, and committed to really be hands-on with my own mind, with myself, and to really, in moments where I see certain patterns coming up, to actually change it. So I had to do all that by myself. But if it wasn't for the support of all those other people, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I have. I wouldn't have been able to change in the ways that I have. So the point that I wanted to share as something that I've been able to change, and I'm very thankful of myself and Desteni that I've been able to change that, is the point of fear of failing. And this fear of failing is it's this weird kind of thing that it's like a tendency that I used to have, and obviously still kind of comes up sometimes, which is a tendency of like expecting myself to kind of do things perfectly in one go. Like, anything new that I do, any new type of project that I start, I would have this expectation of myself that I would just kind of be perfect in it the first time around. And whenever I would then have difficulties or make a mistake, whenever things wouldn't turn out the way that I thought I would be able to do it, I would just get frustrated with myself. I would get disappointed in myself, and then I would just kind of give up, thinking and believing that I just can't do it. It's impossible. It's just not me. It's just not my thing, because I just can't do it. I just don't have the ability, don't have the skills. And that used to be just pretty much how I approached things, which was actually very limiting, obviously, but also very frustrating, and uncomfortable, because it would just be an uncomfortable experience to do anything at all, because I would put so much pressure on myself, and I would almost every time I would just end up feeling disappointed, end up feeling almost depressed and weighed down within myself. So how I've been able to change that is, for example, recently I've kind of started to play around a little bit with doing my hair. I never used to do makeup or style my hair or anything like that, and this was actually to an extent also part of this fear of failure pattern, which was that I would sometimes try, I would try to do something with my hair, and I would have this kind of image of what I want to create in my mind, and then the first time I would try it, it would obviously not turn out like that image. So then immediately I would think, oh, I failed. I just can't do this. It's impossible. And I would just give up on it completely. So I never really pushed myself. I never, really took it further. I never explored or experimented with makeup, with hairstyling and stuff, even though I did want to, and even though that was actually something that I did enjoy, but I would just not allow myself to develop the skill, because I didn't realize that it is a skill, but I didn't realize that a skill takes time to develop. Obviously, I'm not going to be perfect the first time around because I have limited knowledge of what to do, how to do it. I like my hand-eye coordination in terms of how to use a curling iron or a brush with a blow dryer. It's, is not yet developed, or, I haven't yet tried it out. It's like any skill, anything that you want to create takes time, where you just kind of gradually build up to what it is that you want to create, up to your vision. And that vision might change along the way, but you just keep on building and creating. So that's something that I actually had to learn. And so today was the first time using my new curling iron. And it was interesting because I saw the pattern coming up, which was that I was busy curling my hair, and I had been watching this tutorial of this lady who used a curling iron, and her hair looked absolutely amazing, and I thought, oh, I have that type of hair, so maybe I can do that for myself. But while I was busy, it's like my hair wasn't curling the way that I wanted to, and I was like struggling to just be able to get it right. And then I saw those thoughts coming up along with this energy of disappointment, where I was like thinking, oh, I can't do this, this is just not my thing, I just don't have the skill for it, it's not going to happen for me, it's impossible. Where I was basically ready to give up, because I was basically ready to accept that idea and belief that it's impossible and it's not going to happen. But in that moment, when I saw those thoughts coming up and I saw that energy, I recognized the pattern, and I corrected myself by realizing that, okay, you know what, I'm developing a skill, and developing a skill is something that takes time. It doesn't just take time, but there's so many factors involved in developing a skill, developing something, creating something that you want. There's, just getting like the physical comfortability when it comes to using a curling iron, like the physical handling of it. There's getting to know my own hair and how it responds to not just a curling iron, but also different products that I would use, which might not be the same as other people use. There's like the aspect of experimenting, there's the aspect of investigating, like watching hair tutorials, reading up on products, trying out different products. I mean, those are things that I will only be able to do through walking it in real time, moment by moment, and allowing myself to experiment, giving myself the space and the time to experiment with things, to explore things, to really allow myself to do something, to try something out, and then kind of get to know who I am within it, and then kind of assessing where do I stand. Like, for instance, now I kind of more or less know where I stand now when it comes to using a curling iron, and through using it this first time, I also already just got gradually better, where if I would have followed that pattern, I would have just given up midway, because as I was doing it, that experience of disappointment came up, which is usually the point where I decide to give up. But this time I didn't, so I actually was able to more or less create something that I like by just allowing myself to experiment more with it, to just do it, and then just see how it turns out. And obviously, doing things this way is a lot more enjoyable for myself. It's just a lot more like free and relaxed, which is very refreshing for me. And it's not just in relation to my hair, but in relation to other things that I've been doing with my life as well, where I've been busy developing a business, which is something that I would never have seen myself doing ever in my life because of that pattern, because of this fear of failure, which actually gave me the impression and the idea that I have no real capabilities and I have no real skills and abilities. So, I would never be able to pull something off like, running a business or starting up a business. But, I've now proven to myself that by walking something over time with patience and allowing myself to get to know myself within what I'm doing, allowing myself to investigate the points that need to be investigated, to recognize when I don't know something or when I don't have the skill for something, and to then allow myself to actually try and develop that skill through investigation, through exploration, through trying things out, through just Googling things and then testing it out. But most of all, giving myself patience and trusting and knowing that I do have the ability to create and develop this skill. I might not yet have a certain skill, but I have the ability to develop the skill over time. And so that is one point that I've, been able to change for myself. And it's something I'm extremely thankful of, because it has really opened up so much for me in terms of just being able to live, like giving myself the opportunity to live and to be alive within just expressing myself and getting to know myself in different forms of expression and different avenues and doing different things in this world. And so I would say, investigate destiny, get to know yourself and grant yourself that opportunity to change those things about yourself which you might have always thought were impossible to change or are just, who you are. It's not, you really have the potential to truly change those deep-rooted aspects of yourself, to really, realize that how you experience yourself, how you've always experienced yourself, is not who you actually are and is not who you necessarily need to be. All right, thanks for listening and watching, and I'll see you in the next one.